Anyway, I'd like to introduce the mayor now for her State of the City address.
Thank you very much, Rich. Hi, everyone. I'd also like to mention Elizabeth Cox. She's a former state assemblywoman. She was a former head of the Summit Republican Party. She was a force to be reckoned with. You often saw her on election day with her cane, and if you were a poll worker, you better be there when she was looking for you. So she was a real institution, and her contribution will be greatly missed. I'd also like to point out my husband and my son. Thanks for all their support. They're here tonight. And I will say this has been one heck of a year. There was a lot of challenges, and a lot of progress was made. We have the opportunity to strengthen the foundation of Summit and continue to build on the strong sense of community that exists here. To start, we are going to stay focused on making sure Summit remains a very desirable place to live and also a very attractive place to do business. Underscoring the latter point is Merck's decision to relocate its global headquarters in Summit. Along with Celgene, we are now the home of 2 Fortune 500 companies and 2 of the leaders in the pharmaceutical industry, a major source of employment in New Jersey. There were other positive signs of Summit vitality, and they include the opening of many new stores and restaurants in our central business district. The old Summit Medical Group building reconstruction was completed and reopened at 1 DeForest at 100% occupancy with companies like McKinsey, Bank of America, and Tenant and Merrill Lynch. And nearby, many new housing units are in various stages of building. Perhaps the greatest challenge we faced as a community last year was Hurricane Sandy. It was a harsh test. Much of Summit lost power for the 3rd time in about 18 months. For many, it was more than just an inconvenience and a source of stress, as it caused destruction and, for some, physical hardship. Despite all the problems Sandy caused, the vast majority of people put their troubles aside and thought about other people first. When they could, they provided shelter, food, money, or a helping hand. The effort came from many citizens and also our local charities, religious institutions, and many of the people working for the City of Summit. Regardless of the organization, that helping hand was provided by many citizens who just wanted to help. The strong sense of community we enjoy in Summit was especially strong during Hurricane Sandy. It is important to remember how so many helped and to celebrate their efforts, to reinforce the strong sense of community the Summit enjoys, and in so doing, provide a reminder that we are each other's keeper. I thank all citizens for their efforts and patience throughout the ordeal. The reason Summit lost power for so long is reflected in this quote from former Governor of New York, George Pataki. This is a Wall Street Journal article. Superstorm Sandy exposed perhaps the greatest flaw underpinning the American way of life: insecure and unreliable electric infrastructure. Under the stress of a major storm, these systems have proven inadequate in responding and recovering. In recovery mode, single-family homes in a heavily treed suburb will take back seat to restoration in large cities, critical care facilities, public safety, water, sewage treatment, etc. For this reason, I have been in contact with JCP&L about a plan to harden our electric grid. Tom Ferguson, a longtime resident and former head of our cable TV committee, has volunteered with Chris Cotter to draw up a plan. And actually, it was submitted me tonight by Chris Cotter, who is a head of our, and did an excellent job as our head of our emergency management. We have devised a plan presenting to JCP&L to bury wire from Springfield Avenue, which is already electrified and underground, outward to the post office, the YMCA, the library, the connection, the firehouse, the Lawton C. Johnson Summit Middle School, the first aid squad. I assume we will have to pay for most of the cost of a project like this, but it might be cheaper and more dependable than generators. Since DeForest Avenue is scheduled for re-engineering and repaving, a second loop could encompass this area. This plan does not protect homeowners, but it does protect critical parts of our infrastructure. Much as installing Belgian block curbing in a 10 to 20-year time frame, burying wires is a long-term solution. Financially, Summit is rated AAA. You should know the combined budget for schools and city services increased less than 1% in 2012. Thank Thank you, School Board, City Summit. The pressure on the budget came for our Union County tax bill. We now pay $33 million a year to the county and rising. That is over 25% of our property taxes. Our increase last year was 11%, with a double-digit increase expected this year as well. Obviously, the 2% spending cap does not work with the county. This is frustrating since the value provided by these taxes is not apparent, and they give us much less financial flexibility and makes it much harder to afford new programs. I ran for freeholder, and while many of us have attended the Union County freeholder meetings, we know our voice seems to have been ignored. In an era when the needs of our citizens are hard enough to meet, and real median incomes are much lower than 5 years ago, we have a county government that builds a $10 million golf clubhouse, approved the construction of a multi-million-dollar ice skating rink, and runs a hospital that loses millions of dollars a year. County government, at the very minimum, needs to become more accountable, responsible to all of its constituents, transparent, and affordable. Perhaps it should be eliminated. That step was taken in Massachusetts and Connecticut, and those states are much more affordable. Over the past year, many people have helped me, and I want to thank all of those who helped make it successful. I'm going to start with a goodbye. I'm sorry to see Nerese Portuondo go. Nerese is right here. She has been a vital and effective leader and has accomplished so much as during her tenure as a councilwoman. Good luck to you, Nerese. Congratulations to Councilman Robert Bino, Greg Drummond, and Pat Hurley for completing their first year on council. They really did hit the ground running. And congratulations and welcome to our newest councilman, Al Dill. I look forward to working with you over the next 3 years. And of course, congratulations to Rich Madden, who was reelected for a second term, again as council president. I just figured you'd be reelected. Thank you, Dave, Rosie, and Michelle for helping me through my first year as mayor, and Rosie, who did the refreshments again tonight. It's been quite a learning experience, and yes, we did 35 weddings, and Nerese was there to help stand in for me when I couldn't do it. Congratulations to our new police chief, Robert Weck, who has done a fine job during his first year, along with his two captains, Steve Zagorski and Andy Bartolotti. The police department revived community policing in the downtown, which has been a great success and has been extremely well received. Earlier this year, the police department had their first open house, which was well received, and there are plans to continue it. Chief Joe Hauk, right back here, leads the fire department, and Eric Evers was named deputy chief last year. Parts of our firehouse are now over 100 years old and are reaching the end of their useful life. Schematics are being developed for a new firehouse. This may involve reconfiguring that part of Broad Street and offering many opportunities like combining it with the parking garage. Now, this is just an idea to float out there. Maybe there's a private developer that's interested in combining our new firehouse with a parking garage that they'd like to pay for. Combined dispatch with New Providence should be up and running in 12 months. That is a real achievement for our city administrator. Our Department of Community Services was run by Beth Kinney. Our Division of Public Works had an extremely busy year. Sandy took up quite a bit of time, most of which was tree-related. Thank you to all our public work crews for your perseverance and all those extra hours on the job. We could not have done it without you. And our engineering division under Aaron Schrager completed another successful year upgrading and maintaining the city's infrastructure, which was tested by the three major weather events occurring over the last 20 months. In addition to improvements on the city's roads, sewers, and drainage, the division played a key part in several new programs and projects. One effort, spearheaded by Rick Mateus, required significant coordination between multiple towns and government agencies. He is helping us develop a significant proportion of a trail along the Passaic River. I think if you remember last year, I talked about how I'd really love to see us all have an adult park where we could walk through the Passaic River from Berkeley Heights all the way into Summit, and that could come to fruition this year. A lot of the trails are there, but they just needed to be upgraded. Additionally, the engineering division obtained an environmental grant to implement a basin-wide cleanup project to the Martins Brook watershed. It would be completing a road rating system and a full evaluation of the city's sidewalks and handicaps ramps, which will be vital in budgeting for improvements to the city's infrastructure and completing projects where they are most needed. Our Department of Community Programs is led by Judith Lebeline-Joseph. This Department of Community Programs took over the Senior Connections bus this year when the volunteer groups no longer could do it. They saw an increase in ridership, and Judith and her team continue to explore funding for this vital service to our seniors through grant opportunities. 2 Walnut Street was sold at auction this year. As a result, the Summit Community Center has been hosting youth programs with approximately 15 to 35 students coming to the center on a daily basis. Our golf course and a family aquatics center continue to be self-sustaining. Our concerts and movie nights on the green were paid for by local businesses. Please remember to thank them. Our very successful Tri-Can program, which runs programs for special needs youth, has brought approximately 100 youth volunteers. We are very fortunate to have such a rich resource of community-minded citizens, and it's reassuring to see our youth learn by example to give of themselves so generously. I am pleased to announce that we have a new library director. Susan Permahos will be joining us in early March. She comes to us after serving the Township of Springfield for 15 years. I am confident that she will meet the challenges of our library and will bring new ideas to the table. She certainly has big shoes to fill, as our former director, Glenn Divot, recently retired after 25 years of service to the community. Thank you, Glenn, for your outstanding service. A reception is being planned to welcome Susan, and I hope many will join me in welcoming our new library director. And just as a reminder, the city does not vote on and does not control the library budget. It is listed, it's a millage on your tax bill that comes off of your assessment. Former Mayor Janet Whitman has called me up and invited me to a meeting and proposed we have an arts week at the end of June. We have 3 theaters that are working in town. We have many different arts groups. And I said, sure, Janet, it sounds like a good idea. Next thing I know, I got a postcard in the mail announcing that Mayor Ellen Dickson has declared Arts Week. So I guess it is happening. Stay tuned. She has already sent out the press releases. Our city is an outstanding place to work and live. In many ways, Summit is what many cities want in a headquarters city. We have great restaurants, great places to shop, and do your day-to-day business and easy access to transportation. We want Summit to be a community that is always thriving to be at the forefront of technology. Within the last year, we have developed a new technology advisory committee, which is helping explore the use of technology in city services and throughout our community. We have connectivity, accessibility, and convenience. In 2012, the City Department of Community Services and Summit Downtown Inc. developed its first app, a historic tour of Summit, New Jersey. This is a free app and is an interactive tour showcasing Summit's beautiful historic business district as well as famous landmarks. I have reached out to other groups such as our Arts Committee, and I will reach out to our houses of worship to develop their own tours. Anybody who has an idea for a tour, please contact us, approach us with your idea, and help us create it. Rita McNanny runs parking services and the city website, and she is our technology innovator, one of them anyway. Parking Services has an app for online payment of various parking fees. It is all the buzz in downtown Summit. So please download that one also, and please watch out for the rollout of our new parking system in the shopper lots. Can't wait till everybody has to start paying for parking. The Reeves Reed Arboretum is currently undergoing some major renovations and will reopen in the spring. Arboretum Director Frank Giuliano, who started in May of 2012, has been doing a great job is working well with our various city departments. There have been some changes on the Board of Education. We had to say goodbye to Michelle Stevenson, who's here tonight, and a retiring board member, Tom O'Rourke. We want to thank them for their many years of service. There they are. Hi, guys. A more recent appointment, Elizabeth Ann Burton, is here with her husband. Hit the ground running, did a great job, and had to just submit her resignation letter because she is moving with her family to Colorado. So Summit's loss is Colorado Springs' gain, and we wish her well. David Dietz, a new member of the Board of Ed, has been a strong contributor. I look forward to his continued good work on this board. And the most recent appointment, Richard Hanley, will join the board effective January 16th. And Rich, thank you for saying yes. Our schools continue to perform extremely well, moving up on the New Jersey Monthly ranking to number 11. Congratulations to Summit Hilltoppers football on its stellar 12-0 season and winning the state Group 3 championship. Go Hilltoppers. The council and I were recently invited to the Lawton C. Johnson Summit Middle School to read reports prepared by the 8th grade social studies students on how to improve the city of Summit. The project called Public Policy Convention was an idea of Assistant Principal Eric Parks and was led by social studies teachers Dan Miller, Lori McCormick, Eric Costabos, and Jamie Coaches. I was very impressed with the students' projects, and it warms my heart that students are learning civics again. The reports gave ideas and suggestions on how to change and improve on city government and services. I was a little surprised to see that the majority of the projects were on parking. And many of the students feel there is not enough parking in downtown Summit. Going forward, we will have challenges with our school infrastructure. Some schools need repairs. Superintendent Nathan Parker has been very diligent about investing in our infrastructure, but many of our schools are old and need updating. While Union County's population is down by 2%, our student population at Summit is up by over 1,000 students in 10 years and up 2% from last year, which continues to put pressure on our school budget. 12 years ago, when the high school was renovated, the city was told by a demographer that there would never be more than 330 students per class. The newest class, coming from the middle school into the high school, has about 370 students. So doing a good job gets you even more business. Communication. The amount of new technology available to municipalities to communicate with residents can sometimes be overwhelming. It seems like things change every month. Although social media can sometimes help in getting the word out, cities like Summit cannot base their communication plans on third-party services which may or may not be around in a few months. While the city's use of the internet during Hurricane Sandy was a notable improvement over prior years, I do think there is more to do. I would like to see a step forward this coming year in the way we use the internet to connect with residents, both in times of calm and in times of emergency. And the focus of that leap needs to be on the city's website, where we can guarantee its availability and we can publish quickly important information. We also need to look at ways we can receive immediate feedback from residents through the site. I want to explore with all of you how we can make the site more friendly to you, how we can improve it and make it easy to receive information from you, and how we can use it to push information out to you when there is that need. Given all that we've been through this past year, a final thought from a New Year's greeting I received from a friend. I think it was something that's been forwarded and forwarded, but I thought it was a nice story. The story goes that when she was a kid, her mom liked to make breakfast. Her mom liked to make breakfast food for dinner every now and then. One night, she made breakfast after a long, hard day at work. She placed a plate of eggs, sausage, and extremely burned biscuits in front of her dad, and she waited to see if anybody noticed. Her dad just reached for his biscuit, smiled at her mom, and asked her about her day at school. I don't remember what I told him that night, but I do remember watching him smear butter and jelly on that ugly burned biscuit. He ate every bite of it, that thing, and never made a face or never uttered a word about it. When I got up from the table that evening, I remember hearing my mom apologize to my dad for the burned biscuits. And I will never forget what he said. "Honey, I love burned biscuits every now and then." Later that night, I went to kiss Daddy goodnight and asked him if he really liked his burned biscuits. He wrapped me up in his arms and said, "Your mama put in a hard day at work today, and she's real tired. And besides, a little burned biscuit never hurt anyone." As I've grown older, I've thought about that many times. Life is full of imperfect things and imperfect people. I am not the best at hardly anything, and I forget birthdays and anniversaries just like anybody else. But what I have learned over the years is that learning to accept each other's faults and choosing to celebrate each other's differences is one of the most important keys to creating healthy, growing, and lasting relationships. That is my prayer and hope for all, that we will learn to take the good, the bad, and the ugly parts of our life and lay them at the feet of God, because in the end, He is the only one who will be able to give you a relationship where a burned biscuit is not a deal breaker. We could extend this to any relationship. In fact, understanding is the base of any relationship, be it a husband-wife or parent-child or friendship. Do not put the key to your happiness in someone else's pocket. Keep it in your own. So please pass me a biscuit, and yes, the burnt one will do just fine. Be kinder than necessary, because everyone you meet is fighting some kind of battle. Happy New Year, everybody.